everyone. This will be the WebTime Paylocity training to show you guys how to administer it, both as systems coordinators and managers, and how your employees will utilize it as an employee. I'll show you 3 different methods today. We'll be using a web browser as if we were a coordinator or a manager. Then from the employee view, we will look at it both from the phone application and from the tablets, which have all been sent out. So you should have received your tablet by now. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to log into Paylocity. So I'm going to click on Login, just from Paylocity.com. Our company ID is 18468. You'll enter your username. This is a little safety precaution that they installed. So it should be the picture and your little catchphrase as you typed in when you registered. Mine's a simple little howdy doody. So I'm going to pause this while I punch in my password. So it is logging me in right now. And then when it logged in, it takes me to my landing page, which has my paycheck information. So I am going to start by going to Employees, Employee Search. You guys can do this as well. You'll only see your employees. I'm not unfreezing it yet because it's showing everyone's social security number. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my own record for demo purposes. I'm going to click on my last name, so it takes me into my profile. I'm still got the screen frozen because it's got my social security number on the screen, but I'm about to open it up. So the next tab I'm going to go to is the WebTime tab. Across the top you see Personal, Work, Payroll, Setup, Pay, Time Off, Schedules, and WebTime. I'm clicking on the WebTime tab. And I will unfreeze my screen. So now you can see this is what it looks like. So on every one of your employees, if it's not already done, you're going to have to come in here and update some information prior to them being able to use the WebTime application, either on their phone or on the kiosk, or on a computer for that matter. It won't let them use the WebTime component unless you come in here on all of your employees and perform a couple of actions, which I will show you what they are right now. The first thing you have to do is make sure that the employee's time zone is correct. So this will matter when they're punching in and punching out, so it gives local times instead of, by default, I think it shows Central because that's where our corporate office is. So I know we have some accounts now on East Coast, so they need to be in Eastern Standard Time, or if we're Mountain Standard Time for the El Paso or Phoenix accounts, those need to be updated as well. The first box you need to check is right here. It says allow clock in, clock out through the web. If that box is not checked, it will not allow your employees to clock in or clock out. The next box that I want everyone to check is this allow employees to submit timesheets. This is a little misleading. It will not allow them to submit a timesheet. What it does allow them to do is view their total number of hours worked today, this week, this pay period, so that they can help notify you in case they're reaching overtime. After that, we'll come over to the benefit code and select this time off request. By default, it says select, but you need to change this to time off request. What this is going to allow to occur is the employees can submit time off requests. I know it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but they'll be able to submit their PTO request now through the iPads, through their phone, or through Paylocity. So for all of your employees on this feature access template, it should say user access only. For the managers, supervisors, and systems coordinators, it should say manager or supervisor. When it says manager or supervisor, you will also have to select a group. So you see the groups have the supervisor or manager's names if there's people applied or assigned to them. Everybody else needs to select, if you're a systems coordinator or GM, you can select your account up here, but only people who will have visibility over all employees at your site. So if you have a first shift housekeeping supervisor that will have access to view their employees, do not check this because it'll give them access to the entire site. This IP address policy, leave it unlimited access. That's where it is by default. Under mobile policy, it's really important to select mobile policy. By default, it will say select. We need it to say mobile policy. What this will allow them to do is log in from their iPhones or Android phones, Windows phones, whatever type of mobile device they're using. It will allow them to punch in and punch out, submit PTO requests, and view their hours. It will also allow them access to view current news that's going on in the company. So important note here, for them to be able to punch in or punch out from their iPhone or from whatever mobile device they're using, it will require that their location services are enabled. So if anyone has location services disabled to protect their privacy, that's fine, but they're going to have to use the kiosk inside of the hospital or the account that they serve. If they want to use their phone, it's a privilege, not a right. They have to have the location services enabled, and they have to be within the geofence area around your location. So you guys will not have the ability to set up the geofences, so you need to email Rebecca or myself or Michael Powers with your address that you want to be geofenced in so that your employees can punch in and punch out inside of that location. And we will draw the geofence for you, and at that moment they'll be able to start punching in and out. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. When we get to the mobile device, I will actually try to punch in, and it will decline me because I'm not inside of my geofenced area currently. So you'll see the error message that the employees will receive. So this is how you set up an employee to be able to use WebTime. Next, we're going to go into the WebTime, and I'll show you how it functions. So all of you should have the ability to mouse over on the top left, this WebPay icon. You won't have as many as I do, but you will have WebTime. So you'll click on the WebTime tab. If you do not have this application, you need to email payroll at Vanguard Resources, and Rebecca or William or Monica will get you access to it. So it's telling me that I made changes because I clicked back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and leave. Okay, so now we're on the WebTime screen. If you ever need to go back, you go over applications and go back to WebPay, which is the application you guys have been using. You won't see as many employees as I do. I've got view of the whole company, so I see 527 employees. So a couple things that we can do from here. You can view your missed punches. You can view your pending time off request. Down here we start to see a breakdown by hours. So far right now we have, for the pay period, I guess that's the last pay period, we had 2,802 hours. This pay period to date, we have 2,552. That's because we've started migrating people over to WebTime already. So those users, we see the increase in hours. You can see your current overtime down here. And if you ever have any questions about them, you'll be able to view it from another screen that we'll get to in a minute. PTO, callback, and total hours. So it's a pretty useful little dashboard for you. We will start by going to the time off request. So I do that just by, right here you see the pending time off request. You can click on the number 5, and this will show you everybody that's requested time off currently that you have access to view. So at a glance, I can see Kendrick requested PTO last pay period. He must have been testing something. He requested 50 hours for a total of 5 days off. I can see his balance so that I know he does indeed have the 50 hours that he's requesting. I am going to request some PTO myself in a second, and I'll show you what the approval process looks like. I'm not going to approve this right now until we get with his coordinator or get with him, and we'll start canceling it out. So the next thing that I'll show you, if you mouse over employees, you can view, we'll start with the punch map because I like this. If you go down to the punch map, this is going to show you where everybody punched in and punched out from that you have visibility over. So as I look at the United States, you guys, again, you'll only see yours, but I find this interesting that 12 people have punched in and punched out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we're going to take a look at it. I can mouse over it. I can scroll in. And this looks like it's going to be our Southwest location. It is. So these are people using their mobile devices. So I can see physically where these individuals punched in or punched out. So Edner punched in right next to this building, and I clicked on it. So he punched in at 5 o'clock this morning from his cell phone. When they're using the kiosk, this will not show up. So this is only punches from their cell phones. So I can see where everyone was punching in and out from to make sure that they're where they were supposed to be while they were punching in and punching out. So it's a little neat feature. Feel free to use it. Look around. You can set filters down here on the bottom left. You see I have start times and end times, start dates, end dates to the number of punches I want to see. You can also set which punches you want to see. And then if you have multiple cost centers like I do, you can select if you only wanted to see one or the other. This way it's not showing me the whole company. So that's how the punch map goes. As we move through this, if anyone has any questions, please stop me and go ahead and ask me. So next we are going to go back up. And please hold on, guys. I'm incredibly sorry. I'm sorry, guys. If you don't know this, if you ever call me 3 times back to back, I answer assuming that your building's on fire. That was not the case this time. So please don't do it if it's not an emergency. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you, I'll mouse over employees, and I'm going to go to the group time card. This is a pretty convenient place for you to see all of your employees and their punch in and punch out for the day. So I can see this individual punched in this morning, punched out for lunch, punched back in from lunch, and will be punching out later. I can see the regular hours, the overtime hours, any unpaid time. I'm not really sure what that unpaid time is that calculated. Oh, that's their lunch. So here you can change the dates if you want to. You can go to previous day, next day, or today. So it may sound funny that you can go to next, but you can, because if anyone requested PTO, it will already be showing on their time card if it's approved. So this is a good way to just glance. Next, we're going to go to employees. We're going to look at the employee time card. Now this is where you will make changes like what you're used to seeing and making changes to in TimeForce. I am going to go to my own time card. I don't want to mess with anybody's. So here you can see I punched in and out for some reason on Sunday. I have in and out punches, but let's say I punched out at 6 o'clock. I didn't actually punch out at 6. The punch needs to be modified for some reason or another. So all you have to do to change a punch is click in it. So it highlights, and you can go ahead and type any changes. So we're going to say I clocked out at 5:30 p.m. And then that's it. If I'm done, I click Save. It will go ahead and save my changes. See, I got a green bar. It says the timesheet's been processed. And here I have, let's say I forgot to punch in and out for the second part of my day on Monday. So to add punches, again, all you do is click in. You can go ahead and start typing. So I'm going to say I punched back in at 9:30 a.m. and then I punched out for the day at 2:30 p.m. I clicked off. I see I have a missed punch on this day, so I can go ahead and adjust that employee's missed punch from that day. I save the changes. The missed punches go away. The calculations on all the hours updated. 11.5 hours that day, 7.75, and a half hour on Monday the 5th. So that's how you make adjustments to an employee's time card. We've recently had employees who have an on-call shift, and if they do have an on-call shift and are entitled to on-call pay, that is done at the very bottom of the employee's time card. You see we have totals, benefit balances, pay adjustments. We will add the on-call pay in the pay adjustments tab. So click on Pay Adjustments. Scroll back down so you can see that I was already on call for the week of the 5th, which I guess is this week, but we're going to go ahead and add another pay adjustment. We're going to assume I'm on call next week as well. So you click on Add Pay Adjustment, select the date. So this one is going to be effective on the 12th. You enter the amount of $60, and you can enter notes. If there's anything unusual, such as being on call 2 weeks in a row, I suggest you enter something, because if you don't, Rebecca's going to probably question you, why did you have 2 consecutive weeks on call? So this is just to notify her that it's not an error. This is intentional. So now you see I have an additional on-call of $60. That is starting next week. Or that's this week. But, so that's it. That's all you have to do to put someone in for on-call pay. What I did not show y'all how to do is to delete a punch. So you can simply click in and delete everything and save it. And now I have a missed punch again because I didn't punch out for the day. Here you can see I did take a note actually. So when I clocked in as the employee, I put I was called in by Ricky. So a little bit unusual, especially if it's on a weekend. The employees will have the option to put notes in, and you as the systems coordinator will see this. And you'll see how the employee puts the notes in whenever we get to the employee piece of punching in and punching out. Okay, so is there any questions so far about web time or the setup in WebPay? All right, I'm going to show you all this time off calendar. Yes.
This is Jim Henry. I just have a quick question. I saw Kendrick had requested PTO. Am I his approver?
I would be the one.
I'm not sure. We'll have to get with Rebecca and see. Or after this call, I'll click on him. But I'll show you what it looks like from the supervisor's perspective once it happens.
Thank you.
All right. So for everyone,
I have a question,
yep, go ahead.
Brazzo. I'm sorry. Does it track who made adjustments, make changes to punches?
It sure does. So right here you'll see on the right this audit trail. So all you have to do is click this, and you can see date and time everyone who's made any change to this employee. So obviously it's all been me, as I've been doing training with everybody. But you can see I've made a lot of changes on the 9th and so far on the 5th. So those have been the changes that I've made. So yes, there is an audit trail, and you and corporate can go in and view everything that's been changed. Obviously you can't audit an audit trail, but it gives you a method of going in to see what changes have been made. And you'll find this in several areas of Paylocity. If you haven't seen it yet, it's on the employees, their pay rates, it's on the employees. Everything that's changed is tracked in an audit log.
Perfect.
So
Thank
if
you.
you don't have access to see it, but you suspect someone's been changing something, get with Rebecca, because there are certain things you guys won't be able to see who changed what. So you can get with payroll. They'll be able to tell you.
Dustin, this is Eric.
Anyone else?
My access is blocked. Can you reset my password, please?
Absolutely, sir. Any other questions?
Dustin, this is Taylor Bigger staff. You were just explaining on, you said to get with Rebecca if there was a any kind of like PTO or anything on there that's not correct. Because I'm showing that someone entered in, or how can I find out who entered it in? Because I'm showing a PTO for me on last Monday, which I did not take PTO. I'm sorry, not last Monday, the 28th.
For you?
For me.
We'll take a quick look. Yep, so I see 8 hours of PTO for you on Monday. It says it was put in by you on your, yep, entered by you. You didn't leave your stuff logged in, did you?
No. That's
Here, I'll
weird.
go ahead and delete it for you since you didn't do it. So to delete anything, all you do is click on it, right-click, and click the delete button. Save changes, so your PTO is gone now.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to show you all this time off calendar. Very useful for supervisors and systems coordinators. All you do is click on the time off calendar, and it shows you a current view of the current month. Again, so you guys will only see your employees, but anything in green is an approved PTO request. These items that are in orange are still pending, so they have not been approved as of yet. They haven't been canceled or rejected. So by default, what it's showing me is pending and approved. It's not showing denied or canceled PTO request. Again, so if you wanted to approve Ashley's PTO, if she was your employee, you click on it, and here we can delete the request, deny the request, or approve the request. All you have to do to approve it is click approved, and it will go in. Looks like she requested it 3 times. I'm going to assume it's an error with 3 requests on the same day, but I will let her supervisor take care of that. Also, for the supervisors, you'll be able to approve and deny from your cell phones, which you'll also see when we get to that piece of the training. All right, any other questions? Okay, so we are going to move into what it looks like for the employees from the iPads that have been sent out to you. So if you have received an iPad and there's a password on it, the password was set to 123456. Please go into the settings on that iPad and remove the password. Don't have any password on it, or employees don't need to try to remember 123456. It sounds simple, but anybody can guess it anyway. So please remove that from your iPads. So I have my computer set up as if it were an iPad. So this is what the time clock will look like when the employees look at it. I'm going to enter my employee ID number, which is 2841, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. So when I log in as the employee, this is what I see. The current time. I have history over here if I want to see any of my punch in or punch outs. All I have to do to punch in is click this clock in button. So it went ahead and clocked me in. So perfect, exactly what we wanted. Although this says manual, your employees should never use it. It won't let them type any time in. The only thing that it does let them do is if they have multiple cost centers, it'll let them change it. But they should never click that. And even if they do, they won't have any options. This is where I put the notes in as the employee. So I just punched in. Let's say I had to punch back out because I forgot my badge. So the employee tries to do the right thing. They punch out and go to get their badge. So now the employee's punched out. You as the supervisor, when you're viewing this employee's time card, I'll have to go back to myself. Luckily, I'm the only Dustin in the entire company. I can see a note. So the supervisor can look at it and go, oh, okay, Dustin forgot his badge. He went back out to get it. You see I left the iPad for greater than 3 seconds, so it logged me out. Y'all's iPads will stay logged in for 30 seconds because they're automatically going to log out after 30 seconds. I'm going to have to put my number back in. So the employees, if 30 seconds is too long, they're done punching in and punching out. I'm going to clock back in. So it rejected it because I tried to punch in too quick. So I think it's set to have like a minimum of a minute or something between punches. This way they can't keep punching in and punching out if someone's tapping it. But say I was done punching in or out, I can click this log out button and it'll go ahead and log me out so the next employee behind me in line can go ahead and punch in. This is where the employees can request time off. And if you don't set that policy to reflect paid time off, they will not have this option. So you can see I have a request. If I want to request PTO, I go to the drop-down. I select what type of PTO it is. Is it regular PTO, jury duty, or bereavement? Mine's going to be regular PTO. I want to take off on next Monday. So I select Monday. I can either enter a start and end time, or I can say I'm going to take 8 hours of PTO. I can enter notes to help my boss know that he needs to approve it. So I have a doctor's appointment, and I submit my request. So it did just email my supervisor to tell him that Dustin has requested a new paid time off. As the employee from the kiosk, I can click on status if I have any questions about my time off. So I can see that I had time off that I canceled on the 6th. I had time off on the 7th that was denied. And I currently have a pending request for 8 hours. The employee can delete the request by tapping this X to go ahead and get rid of it if they want to cancel it themselves, or just leave it alone and wait for the supervisor to approve it. They can also click on balances to view their available balance. So I have 237 hours of PTO currently, or no, I actually have 229 because I took some PTO. So that's pretty much it for the employees. Very, very simple to use, very, very simple to see what their options are. Does anybody have any questions about the employee from the kiosk view? And when I say kiosk, I mean your iPads. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click back in as the supervisor. I'm going to go to the home screen and show y'all what it looks like to approve a PTO request. So very simply, I come to the pending time off request. I see that Dustin Powers has requested PTO. I check the box and I click approved, and it's that easy. So if I go back to the view time off calendar on next Monday, I see that Dustin Powers is on PTO for 8 hours. Me as a supervisor, I've changed my mind and I need him to work, so I'm going to click on it and I'm going to cancel his request. Am I sure I'm going to cancel his request? Yes, I am. So it's been canceled. It emailed Dustin, and you see it's no longer on my calendar. I'll open up my email just to show you all that it is emailing the employee and what that email looks like. I have a phone simulator here, so I'm going to go ahead and get it started. Opening the Paylocity app, it looks like that little apple right there. So if any of you have it on your phone, it will look exactly like this. The simulator sometimes takes a little bit to log in, though. Just as my email appears, it's taking a little bit to log in. I'm going to pause the screen briefly while I punch my password in, because this definitely shows my password. Okay, so I put my password in and click to log in. I'm unpausing my screen, so now you should see from the app, this is what it looks like. So if you click on the What's New column, or What's New tab, this will be where we can post news from corporate for all the employees to see. So when we have a big success, or we'll probably post a Merry Christmas to all of the employees, and to be safe, it will be there. Looks like my email finally opened. Okay, I'll show you guys that in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and click the menu button. The next option that I want to show you is the time off button. The pay button shows the employees and yourself your last paycheck. I'm not going to click on that. So by default, when you go to the time off, it shows you all of your balances. If you want to request time off, you can tap the request. Again, from the drop-down, you can select the type of PTO. You can select the start and end date, how many hours you want to take, start time, and then if it's going to include weekends, you slide the bar over to yes. I think most of the time for our employees it will not, unless they're taking PTO over like a Saturday and Sunday, because that's when they're scheduled to work. So all you have to do from this point is hit submit. So again, it has just submitted my PTO request. I can see a status here. This is all the PTO that's been requested. I'm seeing all of my PTO. Anything in gray has been deleted. Anything in yellow is pending, red has been denied, and green is approved PTO. I'm going to go to the inbox, and the supervisors, this is what they'll see. You notice it's very similar to the last screen that we saw. So as the supervisor, anything in yellow is pending. Anything in green is approved, red has been denied. So for Dustin Powers, I'm going to click on it. I see it's pending, so I can approve or deny right here from my phone. I'm going to go ahead and deny Dustin's PTO request. It's been successfully denied. And now it is no longer showing up in my pending section. You see, I just got an email. It says my PTO has been denied. I also just got an alert on my cell phone telling me that my PTO has been denied. So what the employee sees, you can see my time off request was approved, and it sent me a calendar link so I can go ahead and add it to my calendar if I was an employee using Outlook. Then I can see it was canceled. And now I can see this PTO request that was just denied. So that's what it looks like for the employee. So they get notified, and the supervisors get notified when they get a pending request that should be going to them. So I'm going to click on the home button again. For the employees, now they can go to the punch screen once you've gone in and allowed the punches in that web time area of web pay. Come on. Uh-oh, looks like my thing. Like I said, this emulator gets a little buggy sometimes. It's much smoother on the phone. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reopen the app on my emulator. All right, I'm going to have to restart this emulator, so please give me a second. All right, is there any other questions at this point? I guess this will be a good time to take questions. And you guys are too easy. I'll show you one other thing, and this will be how the employees, if they haven't done it yet, they need to do it. When they go to Paylocity.com, click the login button, and it takes them to the login screen. This is where they create their login. So they'll have to have the company ID, but what they need to do first is click this register user. All your employees who say they forgot their password, there's a forgot password link here for them as well. It will go to their email address that we have on file. So I went to the register. You have to enter the company ID, 18468. The employee enters their last name, their social security number, and their home zip code. They'll have to go ahead and enter the text that's in this field and click next. At that point, it'll start asking for security questions. Please set up a username. Please set up a password. So if your employees haven't done it, this is how they go on and register. And they'll have to do that prior to being able to punch in or punch out on the cell phones. They'll be able to punch in and punch out from the kiosk without doing this. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the app again. I'm going to have to pause the screen while I punch my password in again. So again, if anyone has any questions, please speak up. Actually not letting me log in. I hope I didn't get fired while we were doing this. Okay, they let me log in. I've unpaused the screen, so the next I'm going to go ahead and go to the punch tab. So if I was an employee and I wanted to punch in or punch out, I go to the punch tab. I can see my current punch. This is the current time. I can use this drop down for punch in or punch out, but it actually already by default goes to the right one. All the employee has to do is hit submit. And that's it. They will not get this as long as they're inside the geofence and the geofence has been set up. As I told you, I'm outside of my geofence, so it says punch unsuccessful. I'm attempting to punch in from an unauthorized location. So it's not going to let me punch in and punch out from my mobile device from here. The employee can click history if they want to see their punch history, so they can see when they punched in, punched out, and any notes that they put in. The next thing I'll show you
Dustin,
will be, yes.
it's not going to let them change their location code, is it?
No.
Okay.
You can't even click in it. So
Okay.
it's on there because Paylocity by default has it in the app. So we couldn't have them remove it, but we did have them lock it. So they will not be able to modify cost centers.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. So the next thing I'll show you will be the timesheet. So the employees can go to timesheet, and this will show them how many hours they've worked today. So I can see I've worked 15 minutes so far today. They can scroll up and down. I'm not sure where my 15 minutes is. It must be right now. They can view how many hours they have this week. So I have two times currently. I guess that's my 0.25 hours. Or they can see the month. It will have a dot every day that they have any time punched in or punched out. And they can tap on it to go to that day. I see I only have a little bit of time earlier. No, this is Monday. So that's it. That's all I wanted to show you guys. Does anyone have any questions before we log off of this training? Any questions? Any questions?
No, it was great.
All right. Well, that's going to conclude today's training. I'll review this video as long as it did indeed pause and didn't show any confidential information. I will post this training online where you can view it later if you have any questions or just can't quite remember how we did something. Oh, Julia asked a question. She typed it to me, though. Employees are still doing timesheets, right? The answer to that is yes. The employees should still be clocking in and clocking out. It's really the fail-safe to make sure that if they punched out, you'll be able to go manually punch them. And it really, yes, it's required. So the daily sign-in, sign-out log does not go away with this. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, that concludes today's training. Thanks, everyone, for logging in.
Thank you.
Actually, Dustin,
Yes.
I'm so sorry. So you're saying that we have to use this system as well as have them use a timesheet?
Yes. Now, by timesheet, you should just have a log at your account that has all the employees' names listed with 4 columns: punch in, punch out for lunch, punch in from lunch, and punch out for the day. So yes, for now, they're going to continue to do both, just like they do right now with TimeForce.
Okay. No, so, okay, so we'll have 2 forms of clocking in pretty much.
They'll have to clock in and Danielle, they'll have to clock in and out of the iPad, but we're using the timesheet for paper trail because we're just barely going into the transition. So we want to ensure that we do have their hours accurately in case they missed a punch or they forgot how to punch in and out. But for now, yes, they'll have 2 forms of having to log their time. It's going to be the actual iPad and then the actual log sheet for their timesheet.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Sure.
Anything else?
No, we're good.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop this training then. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.